Welcome, beloveds. Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. Welcome to the first day of the best of your life. I am Astarius Miraculi, here today to share with you some information on the total lunar eclipse full moon, which is happening on October the 8th, 3:51 a.m. Pacific time. And this is a full moon in the sign of Aries, a very powerful presencing of the full moon. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the Mercury retrograde, which went retrograde on the 4th of October. So there is a correlation of these energies in this month of October. I want to first, however, speak to you about this total lunar eclipse. When the sun and the moon are, or that is, when the moon is full, the sun and the moon are in an oppositional alignment. And when there is this lunar eclipse, the earth sits between the sun and the moon, casting a shadow on the moon, and you don't see the moon in its fullness in the way that you normally do. It's eclipsed, which represents shadow energy. So we will be dealing with shadow energies that have to be addressed, particularly shadow energies that relates to selfhood. This moon being full in Aries, and Aries is one of the signs that represents a tremendous energy connected to self-expression, how it is that you are expressing yourself. And of course, with this shadow emphasis, it will be highlighting what are the ways in which your selfhood is expressed in shadow ways, which represents some of the things that maybe are needing to be transcended. Aries is a very intense energy, and the moon represents the female component. So when the moon is in Aries, then the goddess energy becomes very powerful. So it's a very important time for all of us to allow the goddess to have her way within us to a greater degree. Because through that connection with the goddess, we come into a greater receptivity to receive whatever lessons we are needing to learn relative to this particular energy. In this full moon eclipse, there will be the temptation to come from a place of aggressiveness. You know, shadow of Aries is aggressive energy, confrontational energy. So we have an opportunity of looking at what are the ways in which maybe we have individually been confrontational, or what are the ways in which we are allowing others to be confrontational in our lives. Are we giving our power away? Do we need to step up and be more of a sacred warrior with regards to what's appropriate to our own individual path? Aggressive energy is looked at. There's a great assertiveness of the feeling aspect. Aries is a very outward energy. Moon has a lot to do with the emotionality of who we are. So emotionality becomes expressed in a very outward way when the moon is in Aries, and especially when it's full in Aries. Now there's another ingredient here that is extremely powerful, and that is that while the moon is 15 degrees of Aries, meaning that the sun opposite that is 15 Libra, then we have the planet Uranus that is 14 degrees of Aries, very, very close to an exact conjunction with this full moon. And so the energy of Uranus is all about freedom. You know, what are the ways in which you need to be more free? What are the things that may have been blocking your sense of freedom? How do you need to be liberated? And to what extent do you need to be opening up your emotional expression to greater numbers of people? Uranus is the planet that represents humanity, the planet that rules Aquarius, the sign of the humanitarian. So humanity constitutes everybody. So when Uranus, a planet associated with humanity, is conjunct the moon, associated with a nurturing principle, then the vibration of nurturing and loving expression is meant to move out to greater and greater and greater numbers of people, meant to be shared more expansively. So you may be feeling a call to be loving on a larger scale, to expand your field of love to include greater numbers of people, which is to include a greater measure of your own self, because every being in the whole of existence is your own self by extension. And so we do come together to reveal one another to each other. When you share this love frequency, then it is shared with the all that is through whoever the individual might be that you're sharing it with. Always remember that, so that you will always be in the knowingness that there's a great returning cycle of blessedness that returns as a result of your loving expression. One of the shadows of Aries can be an extreme of selfishness. Now, there must be a certain measure of self-consideration, because we can't adequately take care of others until we have first made sure that we take care of our own self. So there is a certain sacred selfishness, as well as there is a shadow selfishness that becomes expressed in an extreme. So we want to be careful not to get caught in the shadow expression of selfishness. Now, we have a grand trine to this moon also, which is really powerful, that brings in a lot of soft energy, or softens the intensity of this lunar eclipse full moon, and that is Jupiter in Leo, which trines the moon in Aries, and the planet Mars in Sagittarius, which also trines. And they both act as mediator planets, because they trine and sextile the two ends of this opposition. So there's a lot of benevolent energy available through this particular lunar eclipse full moon. Also, it keys into the grand cardinal cross that took place back in April, that was exact April 23rd, where the four planets were at 13 degrees of cardinal signs, where Pluto was 13 degrees of Capricorn, Jupiter 13 degrees of Cancer, Uranus 13 degrees of Aries, and Mars 13 degrees of Libra. And so this full moon being 15 degrees of Aries, only 2 degrees away from that exact point of the Grand Cardinal Cross. So there may be energies of that is further activated. If you want more information on the Grand Cardinal Cross, then refer to my video, which is called Grand Cardinal Cross, Its Blessings. And you'll get more information with regards to that, because there is a rekindling of a lot of the energies associated with that. You can also get deeper insight into the sign of Aries through my video, which is called Aries Wisdom. So you can use those as reference points to get more information on what is being offered today. So there is this energy of the blending of the male and female energies. That's always what the full moon is all about. It is a aspect that is so much related to relationship. When the sun and the moon are exactly opposite each other, and the opposition is the relationship aspect of astrology. So in this full moon lunar eclipse, we're going to be looking very deeply at what we bring to the table regarding relationships. There will be greater insight into whatever poisonous energies we might bring to the table relationship-wise, what we bring to the table that is counterproductive to relationship, and also what we bring to the table that is fruitful to the relationship dynamic. So there's a lot of that to be looking at. This is a very, very powerful astrological configuration, and it's a very important time to be about what intentions you want to set into motion. As I said, it's exact 3:51 Pacific time, a.m., on October 8th. So you could actually put, I would say 8 hours before that and 8 hours after that, and that's a very powerful segment of time to work with your affirmations, your decrees, your invocations, because whatever prayers that you put into motion at that time will have a tremendous amount of power. So Mercury went retrograde at 2 degrees of Scorpio on the 4th of October. Whenever Mercury goes retrograde, there is this inwardness, this introspection. We begin to look at what's inside. Mercury retrograde is about dealing with the unfinished business. What is it that has been left on the back burner that needs to be taken care of? Because in the Mercury retrograde cycle, it's all about taking care of the unfinished business. Sometimes the new things don't progress as easily. Appointments get screwed up. Misunderstandings on a communicational level can happen. With Mercury being in the sign of Scorpio, this is about death, regeneration, transformation. What is it that needs to die in the way that you communicate? Are there aspects of your communication that is abrasive, that is harmful and not really fruitful, to create benevolence within your relationship exchanges? When Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio, the intensity of communication is so strong that there is a temptation to have this abrasiveness in communication. But by virtue of our intention, we can soften that energy. And we want to call on the opposite sign, which is Taurus, that carries some of the Venusian energy, to bring that energy into resonance with this scorpionic expression so that the Scorpio communication can become softened. So we will be looking at the shadows. We will be looking at the dark energies relative to the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, and also relative to the total lunar eclipse. So the shadow energies is like fertilizer. It is wise not to despise it. Use the dung to fertilize it, for life's greatest connoisseur gets the best crops from the best manure. So the soil yields richer crops as a result of that waste. What is that fertilizer? Glorified shit that is dumped on the soil. The soil does not give a rebuttal, but just goes into the alchemical process of yielding even richer crops, not in spite of the waste, but because of the waste. So this is a time to yield richer crops in your life experiences, not in spite of the difficulties that you're facing, but because of them. Let these difficulties become servant unto you and not master over you. So take your time when it comes to communication. The element of patience is something that is extremely important. It's also a really important time to remember the worth of self, particularly with that full moon in Aries. It's always about when the Aries energy is there, it's like, what is the value that is placed upon self? A really important time to deepen and expand the love that is felt for self. I love the poem that I've written, which is called I Do Take Me. I love myself with all my heart, eternal knowing God impart. No more hatred, no more pain, legacy of heaven mine to claim. Once I really hated me, a self-induced catastrophe. Others began to hate me too, and hate's reflection became my due. When I look in any mirror, each reflection is my own. If I dislike that which I am, rejection by others will be shown. In self-acceptance let me grow, to hereby let all others know. I want them to accept me too, they only follow what I do. I ask myself to marry me, to thus fulfill my destiny. I promise always to be true. Self-love and honor I am due. Sweet self, I'm sorry for the pain. Forgive and love me once again. I want me for eternity, a better lover than to be. Now every bond is sweeter too, for loving me is loving you. Within the temple of heaven's house, I do take me to be my spouse. And now I want to share with you a little bit of the energy of the didgeridoo to anchor all of these wonderful energies that we've set into motion. I love the didgeridoo. Honor, thanks, and praise to the tribal aborigines of Australia as the tribal vessel through which the didgeridoo has come to this world. Honor, thanks, and praise to my clan, the clan of the trumpet angels, who are the keepers of the didgeridoo in the celestial realms. I am Mysterious Miraculi. I love you with the passion of heaven. I love you free. I love you into the expansion of all that you are. For we are meant to walk each other home. My website is astarius.com. ASTARIUS.com. I am a psychic astrologer. I do sound healing with the didgeridoo and vocal harmonics, and I teach Reiki and a number of other wonderful things with some great CDs. So do go to my website and partake of some of the treasures that I have to offer. And if you are interested in a personal session, a reading, it can be very powerful and very transformational. I do readings in person, by phone, and by Skype. I'm in the Los Angeles area, USA, and the number by which you can reach me is 928-254-9535. That's 928-254-9535. Aho, Ashe, Amen, Namaste, Hotep, In Lakesh, Alakin, Shalom, Satnam, Hariom. Up at the top, there's room for all. It's just the bottom that's crowded, y'all.